and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Morgan Shea. Please do subscribe before you leave. And if you're returning back to my channel, welcome back, Morgan Shea Beauty Gang. Also guys, do be sure that you do watch the video all the way through to the very end, and also be on the lookout for a secret emoji, because I will have that somewhere throughout this video. And if you comment it down in the comment section down below, it will put you an extra entry into my 100 subscriber giveaway, which we are over halfway there too. So be sure that number 1, you are subscribed. Number 2, you got your bell on. Number 3, that you like this video. And number 4, be sure that you comment the secret emoji. Now let's get into the story time. This story goes back a decade. I was working at a daycare really close to my apartment. And when I first started, I was a teacher assistant. So what that means. So basically there is a teacher to a classroom for the new babies and for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and so on. And this in particular daycare watched kids through elementary school. So once they went to middle school, they couldn't attend this particular daycare anymore. But if you were in the newborn class or you were in any of the upper classes, because the kids in elementary school, they're pretty much all together other than the 5-year-olds. But 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, they were in a class all together. So those classes had teacher assistants. Now, when I first started, I was with the newborn babies, which I would have been fine to stay there. So one in particular day, I'm heading into work and I get a call from my boss and she says, "Hey, Morgan, I was just wondering if you were getting close." Now, if you do not know, if you work at a daycare, you have to be there an hour before kids can show up. Kids can start showing up at our daycare anyway. They could start showing up at 5 a.m. So we had to be there at 4 a.m. So she's like, "Hey Morgan, I was just wondering if you're on your way in." And I said, "Yes, I'm on my way. I'll be there in like 5 minutes. And she says, "Okay, when you get here, come to my office." So when she tells me this, I'm thinking, oh no, this is not good. This is really bad. I'm probably about to get fired. So I show up to the daycare and I go into her office, and it's actually good news. And she lets me know that the girl that had the 2-year-olds has been let go and that she wants to give me the position if I want it. And it would be full-time. It would be my own class by myself with 12 2-year-old children, okay? And little miss 18, 19-year-old Morgan is like, "Oh yeah, I'm down." So first day on the job, I am introduced by my manager, which is the daycare director. I'm introduced to the class. Now, prior to me walking into the classroom, she let me know that there was a little boy who we're gonna call Dakota, and his mother that we are going to call Amy. That was gonna be an issue. She said they're gonna be an issue. The mother is just really not okay, and she doesn't know how to talk to people. She has no etiquette. Just try to look over it and look past it. She said, "You have a lot of patience, and I think you'll be able to handle it really well." And Dakota is one of the worst children I've ever seen in this daycare. And she literally is sister-in-laws to the owner. So she has been there since it opened up, and it's been opened up since I was like a kid and probably before that. So a very long time. So for her to say that this was the worst kid she had seen in the history of this daycare, it scared me, okay? It scared me. But the first few months go absolutely great, okay? And then they're starting to get ready to transition. Now, about 3 months before they transition, meaning 3 months before their 3rd birthday, they like to have them potty trained. And if they're not potty trained, then that basically puts them on a different track than all the other kids. So we try to work on ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, writing, things like that. And depending on how good they do or how tolerable they are to learn the information, depends on what track. Dakota was having a lot of trouble, a lot more than the other children at least, like way more, like to the point to where I was concerned enough to go to we're gonna come up with a name for my director of the daycare. We'll call her Jennifer. So I go to Jennifer and I'm like, Jennifer, Dakota is way, way behind. But also he will not go to the bathroom and just all these things. So I'm naming off all these things that he is severely behind on compared to the other children. And she says, okay, well, we need to have a meeting with his mother. And she said, we need to go about it a certain type of way because she is very difficult to deal with. Now, in the meantime, between me getting the class and this point right here, I had spoken to Amy twice. And those 2 times were both because Dakota had used the restroom on himself because, like I said, he refused to even step in the bathroom and he would not wear a pull-up. And Amy would not make him wear a pull-up. The whole point of this particular daycare, it is a very nice daycare. It's actually a learning academy. Is to get the kids completely more than ready for kindergarten. And some of the kids, based on their testing out of this learning center or daycare, typically don't even go to kindergarten and go straight to 1st grade. So that is how much they learn from the age of 2 all the way till they start kindergarten. So we get together for this meeting and I'm nervous because Jennifer has made me feel like this is going to be World War III. This is not going to be good. It's going to be very, very bad. She's going to be very defensive. She's going to be very rude. She's going to blame it on me. And the thing about it is there was no ill intentions going forward. This is all of the parents understand what the Learning Academy is and what their intentions are. So Amy gets there and we go into Jennifer's office and we're sitting there and we're having the discussion and Jennifer is leading the show up until this point. And the second that Jennifer turns the conversation to me and says, Miss Shay, would you like to share some of the things that's been going on? And I said, well, he's been clogging up the sink in the room, but he was just being very mischievous, you know, biting children, pulling children's hair out, all kinds of things. So I'm telling her all of this information. We're having this discussion about Dakota and it's going really well. She's like, yeah, I've noticed this too. And he has a really bad temper. So Jennifer turns to Amy and lets her know about all of that I just explained, that Dakota's been showing out. He has no idea what anything is. And Jennifer said, you know, we count on you guys as parents to help them with their homework. And Dakota has never turned in homework, which that was part of the program as well. They had to take home homework 2 days a week. So 2 days a week, I would assign them some type of homework. There might be one that says, trace your name 5 times, or color this dog inside the lines, stay inside the lines. And Dakota had never come back with his homework. So at this point, Dakota is 3 months out, like I said, 3 months out from turning 3. And so at this point, he is not ready to go to the next class, according to Jennifer. It would never be my decision for that. I would just give her, they have a folder of all the work that they've done and all of that. And if it's all completed, they get to go to the next class. Dakota was nowhere near complete. And when Jennifer brings out this folder and opens it up, you guys, and all of the other children's folders had probably 75 to 100 pieces of paper in it. I'm not kidding you. And this in particular little boy had maybe 20 pieces of paper. I'm not exaggerating, like maybe, and that is a huge maybe. This is when Amy flips out, okay? She goes off. She is like, there is nothing wrong with Dakota. There is something wrong with what you're doing here. If my son is not listening to you, because he listens to me at home, he listens to my boyfriend, he listens to my mother. If there's something going on here, it's the way she teaches, and points over at me. And you guys, like I said, I was like 19 years old at the time, so I'm starting to think, well, maybe there is. And then Jennifer speaks up and she said, absolutely not. She said, this is a classroom of 12 children and every single one of them are going to their age 3 class except for Dakota. And she says, whoa, 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 wait a minute, bitch. You're telling me that my son is not going to age 3 class? And Jennifer looks over her and says, no. Unless all of this gets completed and Dakota understands it, I cannot go ahead and move him there because he's not ready. Now, for age 2 class to go into age 3, there are 2 things that is a must before they can go to the age 3 class. Because age 3 class, they have the potty line where it's like the train, so you have the caboose and all that. They have to be potty trained 100%. So that's the first. And the second thing that is a must is they must be able, well, it's considered a group of things, but really and truly it's 3 more. So they have to be able to say the ABCs all the way to H. And then they have to be able to count to 10 and write their first name. And if they are able to do all of those things, so that's the end of, that's their test that they have to pass. And there would be no way that Dakota would be able to do that. And that was the point of this whole entire meeting, was to let Amy know that Dakota was not going to be able to do this test at all. And so she's like, well, what does he need to do? What does he need to do to pass this test? You let me know what my son needs to do and he'll do it. And at this point, you guys, I'm being very, very, very PC right now. This is not how she spoke at all. At all. And I put that on everything that I love, you guys. She is ripping papers up, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this is why Dakota acts this way. Like, she was literally throwing a tantrum like her 2-year-old son in this. And I get it. You know, when you're a parent and you want the best for your children and your child has a hard time, I get that. Jennifer says, okay, this is what needs to be done. Okay, he's got 3 months to be able to do these things. He needs to be potty trained and go on his own. And she goes through the list. So he needs to write his first name. He needs to be able to count the ABCs to H, and I need him to be able to count to 10. And she's like, oh, okay, we've got this, we've got this. And as she walks out, she takes the chair that she was sitting in and slings it across the room. So from this point forward, y'all, it's a horrible relationship. It's absolutely horrible. And another thing that I need to mention is at the end of every day, every child got sent home with a day report card. So it's basically like, how did the day go? Did they use the potty correctly? Did they eat all their lunch? Which we called happy plates. So did they make happy plates? Did they eat their snack? Did they nap today? How long did they nap for? Did they nap the whole time? All of those things. Now, when it is a bad day report, if they get a good report card all 5 days, so Monday through Friday, then they get to go on the monthly field trip. So every month there's a field trip, and this just so happened to be coming up on the field trip, and Dakota had long since lost the privilege to go. I think the whole time that I taught Dakota went on, I think, 2 field trips. So he did not get to go to this field trip. And it's the beginning of the morning, so I'm getting all of their breakfast out and making sure their cubbies are clean. You have to sanitize the cubbies every morning, blah, blah, blah. So I'm setting out the breakfast and I feel a finger tap the back of my shoulder, and I turn around and it's Amy and Dakota. And she's like, I want to effing know. And you guys, there is a room of 11 other children and a few of their parents in there. Okay? And it's like 5:30 in the morning, y'all. She's like, I want to know why the F Dakota is not going on the G, D, and F and field trip. And I just look at her stunned for a moment, and I said, let me check the folder. I mean, there's 12 kids, you guys. I can't keep up, you know. So I go back over to his folder and I look, and he had pulled this poor little girl, she got it so rough from this kid. He had pulled like a chunk of her hair out. And so Jennifer, the director, she said that Dakota could not go on any field trips for the rest of the year, which would have only been like 3 more field trips. And Amy goes off. She starts flipping tables in front of all of these kids. Parents are petrified. And one of the parents to one of the newborns was a police officer, and he just so happened to be dropping off his baby girl. And he comes over there and he's like, whoa, 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 what is going on in here? And she says, I'm effing pissed. I'm effing pissed. My kid isn't going to any more field trips for the rest of the year because some little bitch ass kid probably picked on him, and so he defended himself and pulled her hair. And so the officer looks at me and says, Miss Shea, is that how it happened? And I said, absolutely not. I said, this happened during art time, and we'll call the little girl Michelle. And Michelle was reaching for a paintbrush, and I guess that just so happened to maybe be the one Dakota wanted. This is you know what I thought. Like she reached for a paintbrush, and when she goes to reach for the paintbrush, Dakota grabs the back of her hair and just pulls out like a wad, y'all, a wad of hair. I say, that is why. And he said, okay, well, you're gonna have to calm down. You're here in front of other children. Anytime that a parent acts or behaves that way, I do have to report it to Jennifer. It's my job to report it because it's the safety of these kids. I don't even make it to Jennifer's office. Like, we meet one another in the hallway. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? And she said, okay, here's what's happening. Number one, Dakota is no longer gonna be going to this daycare, because this is just too much, the way that she's behaving. And I said, okay, if that's what you think we need to do. So at this point, the officer had pulled Amy out to the parking lot and took her out, and we were literally leaving for a field trip. So one of the assistant teachers there was going to be watching the kids. Now from this point, I am gone. So every room in the daycare was recorded. So anywhere that a child was, except for a restroom, there was recording. So I got to watch it on camera afterwards. But Dakota's mother, you guys, gave him a pocket knife. And while they were on the playground, Dakota took out a pocket knife, which Dakota was not supposed to be playing on the playground this day, and the assistant teacher let him play. He gets a pocket knife out of his pocket, and one of the kids who was in like the detention, like not going to field trip class, just so happened to be a 1-year-old little girl, okay? And he takes this knife and he cuts her ankle, like right where her ankle bone is. The whole playground is recorded. So from one angle, you can see one side, and from the other angle, you can see the other. And this happened right on the side. So it was all recorded. And the little girl runs up to the assistant teacher, crying, of course, and says, Dakota cut me with his knife. Dakota cut me with his knife. And I'm sure she didn't like speak that clearly, but I mean, she was bleeding. And Dakota ran up to the assistant teacher with a knife in his hand. So we get back from the field trip, and Jennifer is still there. And usually that's not how it works, because we were gone all day long. We took the kids to the Chattanooga Aquarium. We did not get back till close to 7:30, so about an hour and a half after the daycare had closed. Jennifer waited on me to get back, and she said, I just want to let you know what happened today. Dakota brought a knife to school. And I was like, do what? Because I'm thinking like a butcher knife or something. And it was just like a little tiny pocket knife, but still, he cut a little girl. And anyways, what Jennifer said, he said when she brought him to the office, she was looking through his file, and that's when she found out that he was not supposed to be on the playground. So the assistant teacher, who probably would have gotten a job there as a full-time teacher eventually, if not, she could have been a cook or something, got fired. Dakota comes in the class, and here's the thing, you guys, children are so honest. You might think that you're telling a child something that he or she will never repeat, and the first opportunity that child gets, goes straight to whoever you're either talking about or what have you and tell on your ass. So my nephew right now is in that phase, and you guys, like, he has no cares, gives no books. Like, he will tell on you for whatever you have done and says, my mommy gave this to me and told me that if any of you all messed with me, to take care of business. And I took care of business. And Jennifer said, you know, it wasn't spoke that clearly, but he said, taking care of business, like that. And she said, Morgan, it gave me chills. And I was like, that is the scariest shit I've ever freaking heard. Like I told you guys, scary or weird children freak me beyond. And this child was like, Jennifer asked Amy, because Amy, of course, came to pick Dakota up. Like, Dakota had to leave. And she says Amy comes in there raising immortal hell, saying, why in the F do I got to pick my effing son up? What did he do now? What did he do at your perfect school? And Jennifer said, I looked at her and said, he cut a child with a pocket knife. And then told us that you gave him the pocket knife and told him that if he had a problem, to take care of business. And she said, yeah, and what of it? I said, you're joking me. She said, absolutely not. She said, so all of this was reported to DCS, and so you're going to have to record a statement. I had to record a statement, you guys. We ended up having to go to court. They ended up finding out that the mother was dealing major drugs out of this house. Not only that, but they found something in the kid's system, his and like the boyfriend's son. They found like drugs. I can't remember. Let me look it up. Let me text somebody that morphine. He had morphine in his system that no doctor had given him, etc. So yeah, you guys, that is the story of the crazy son and mother duo from the daycare I used to work at. Absolutely nuts. I will never forget them, ever, never, ever, because Jennifer looked absolutely petrified when I got back from that field trip. She looked like she had seen a ghost. She looked petrified. She said, I've never been so chilled to the bone in my life than I was when that child sat across from me and said, my mama gave me the knife and told me if anybody messed with me, to take care of business. Like, oh, I hope you all enjoyed this story time. I'm sorry it's late, but it was my mama's birthday. Do be sure that you tell my mama happy birthday in the comment section down below, and to comment the secret emoji for an extra entry into my 100 subscriber giveaway. Also, do be sure that you do like this video. It is a free way that you can help your girl out. And this YouTuber shout out goes to this channel right here. Do be sure that you do subscribe to their channel. Leave them some lipstick emojis so that they know that you came from the Morgan Shea Beauty Gang. But anyways, y'all, I love you guys so much. And until the next video,